Hey, welcome to Bash University Live. Super excited about today's show. We've got Chris Lane, winner of Stage 1 of the Bass Pro Tour, one of the most amazing fish catches in the history of the world, Riz.
Oh man, I'm telling you, was it ever?
Oh my gosh, the time pressure, the crunch, needing a big giant one and getting it done with less than a minute to go. The mental toughness. We're gonna dive in with Chris about that, about the the mental side to be able to stay in and stay engaged to win and win at the highest level, like he has proven over and over again that he can do. Both the Lane boys for sure, and just one of the greatest fish catches. We're going to be talking about the pre-spawn, how to catch them in that pre-spawn moving up stage with a flipping stick and his other tactics. Let's dive in with Chris and see how things are going to progress. I know another big tournament's coming up with him, which is the Red Crest that's coming up on Lake Norman. That's coming up, geez, in just a couple of days. That's going to get kicked off. So really excited. Classic champ, winner of the Major League Fishing Stage 1 down at the Kissimmee Chain. Chris Lane going to be with us here real soon. Very excited to have that and get going there. We've got a lot of giveaways. If you're watching us over on social, like and share the post, and we are going to give away some cool prizes. We have it's always a Waterwood giveaway.
Waterwood is our like and share, and then we have a bunch of soft plastics, a Seeing Red almost type of plastics, where Missile Baits has given us a Missile Bait package to give away today.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just in time for spring. It's right around the corner, Pete.
It is, and it's a Seeing Red promotion happening right now. It's really cool. Red is such a powerful weapon this time of year.
Ooh,
so
is it ever?
We love this promotion. Sign up for an annual subscription at Bash U and get yourself.
What's the reason that red is such a special color?
I'll tell you. Greg Hackney, one of our Bash U instructors, said, "Boy, when they get on that red, you can't get them off it." That's the reason, right there.
Enough said. Enough said. Hey, there's something about it, but it works all season. I've smashed them on red in the fall too. There's theories about it's blood in the water kind of color. There's theories that the crawfish look red when they're coming out of the mud in the spring. There's a lot of theories about why that works so well, but it really does. And it's a jackhammer, and it's a Rapala DT6 in demon color that comes along with that package, and as well as a Missile Baits
Lava Crawl.
Lava Crawl.
Yeah.
I love that name.
Shockwave Lava Crawl. Perfect trailer for the Z-Man jackhammer.
It is.
Fire Crawl, by the way.
It is.
That's a really, really good tackle pack. By the way, guys, if you're out there listening and you're on the fence, springtime fishing is here. I mean, you're getting like the weapons to catch them in the spring. You're getting the Rapala DT6 and Ike's Demon. In my opinion, that's the best springtime color you can have. Yep. And then the Z-Man jackhammer, which is an incredible chatterbait in the Fire Crawl. And you even get the trailers to throw on there. You get the Lakewood tackle bag to store all the stuff. You can't beat it. Don't wait. Just go.
What's it like?
It's like a
$75 value.
Yeah.
Get yourself signed up. Go over to bashu.tv and get signed up. And that way you can come over to the IM board and ask questions to us here on the show. Ask questions to Chris.
Yeah.
And try to win our grand prize.
And if you're a member, you do know that you get some really high discounts with all of them. So with Missile Baits, they're like 30% off. Rapala, you can go get those
Storm, VMC, and all the rest. So we really take care of our guys that subscribe, and we appreciate you guys being part of the program. And we're getting so many people. So everybody's coming out of the winter season, they're getting back, they're studying up, just like you're studying up, Jocelyn. You were just studying up. And our bass guys are studying up too, and we see you guys over on the site. And we've got some amazing content that we filmed this year. And it's really amazing. And I'm excited to dive into this topic, and we're going to go there. But forward-facing sonar was a big player in the tournaments this year. We had some super talented speakers that delivered some eye-opening forward-facing sonar content that we're going to be dropping on Bash U because it's a factor in all fishing. And two of the major tournaments were won that way, but not Chris's tournament.
Not Chris's tournament.
I love that.
He did it old school, dragging the worm, man. And we're we actually got the clip, Pete, of his winning fish catch. So we're gonna showcase that just a little bit before we get to them.
Yep.
It's gonna be good stuff.
Awesome. Well, I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
I know Chris is waiting in the wings. Let's show this clip because it was I'll set the stage a little bit here.
Okay.
Chris needed, I think, what was it, a 5 or he needed a 412.
Yeah, 412.
412 he needed to eclipse Mark Davis, who was well in command in this tournament with a 34-pound bag going into the final day. And Mark's fish changed. The wind changed, struggled. He had a modest bag and left the door open just a little bit, just enough. And let's roll the clip.
Chris kicked it in. Let's watch it.
Let's see what happened.
Chris Lane's got one.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
He needs 412.
Stay on, baby.
It has to be over the gunnel of the boat.
I don't know if it's big enough, but it's big. Okay, turn her. God dog it. Get out of there. Come on. Time.
Time is 1 minute.
Oh. Right in the top.
Is it enough?
9 seconds. 8 seconds.
Come here. Come here.
Time, plenty of time.
Come here. No! Oh, I think she's short.
He needs 412.
Oh, that's
It's not going to be enough.
gonna be there.
Golly day.
5 pounds, 5 ounces.
What a catch!
God, I gotta let her go. Look at that. I ain't got time. Big, beautiful girl. Oh boy. Maybe one more 6-pounder would do it. I ain't got much time.
You got 23 seconds.
He doesn't know. He does not know that he's just won. A 5-5 with a minute left for Chris Lane. He's going to get incredible news here in about 10 seconds. Lines are out. What a rally. Chris Lane, 26-1 on the final day. And he wins by 212 by catching that one at the wire, a 5-5.
Golly day.
No, he doesn't know.
5 something. I needed a 7 or an 8.
No, you didn't.
Golly day. I don't know what the weight is.
This is gonna be good.
Chris, congratulations.
So close.
Congratulations.
What?
You are stage 1 champion.
You're kidding me.
No, sir.
You're kidding me.
No, sir.
Woo! Pow, baby! Right at the end. Are you sure that's right?
Yes, sir.
It's right.
Pow! Oh, what an amazing! I mean, it's epic. It's got to be one of the greatest fish catches of all time. And here he is, the man himself, a super champion, a classic champion, and now stage 1 champ with that amazing catch, Chris Lane. Thanks, man. Thanks so much for being with us, buddy.
Man, thanks guys for having me. Watching that just brings back chills, actually.
I mean, it's just so. Tell me what was going through your mind. Like, somehow you did not know that you had enough weight.
Well, the thing, I really wasn't paying too much attention to my weight at the time. I was just trying to fish as hard as I could to the very last second. And when he told me I needed, 4 pounds, 12 ounces, I needed a 4-pound, 12-ounce bass. I'm, for 4 years that we've done this, it's always like, well, you're 3 ounces back or whatever. So if you catch a 2-pounder, you know that you move in. And now that we're doing the 5 fish, I was thinking that I had to call the 3-pounder, which was my smallest fish. I was like, okay, so I need 7 I need 412, so I need to take away my 3.
Oh.
That puts me at 7 something. That's what I kept
Oh.
thinking the whole time, and I just was giving it all I could to the very end.
Don't change that thought process, because if you always think you need more than you actually do, you're going to do pretty
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, for sure.
That makes perfect sense now. I never thought
Yeah.
about it like that, and that now you can see clearly, what was going on. Now it was pretty cool because we're watching it wash over you. Like I needed a 7, I got a 5, I didn't make it, and then your marshal tells you, and it's just washing over you. I mean, that was how did that feel? Like, did you need to get, like, I think I might have needed like a signature, some kind of validation that, is this for real? I got to call the tournament director.
Am I getting pranked?
Yeah. Am I getting pranked? What's going on?
Well, the thing about the score tracker, I guess, is it's really never wrong, that I've ever been a part of. And I'm sitting there, and that's when I asked him, I says, man, I got to see that thing, because I kept waiting for, oh, well, we didn't call your 3-pounder out, but everything operated just like it was supposed to. And for me, just assuming that I needed a 7+ pounder in order to do it, well, I was wrong, and thank goodness I was, because if I'd have known I needed a 4-pound, 12-ounce bass, I might have stayed where I was. I don't think so. I mean, I was planning on going back and trying to catch that one off the arrowhead that I had missed earlier.
Well, you have a knack for this, man. You win big, and in big moments, and it's not a mistake. Like, it's happened too much for you. And we talk about high level competition, and it's so often between the ears, and you kept your composure in this instance. I mean, 1 minute left. It's just, I mean, it's amazing. How did you get yourself in that spot?
Man, I don't know. I really don't know. What a blessing there at the end to catch that fish with just a minute and something left. I think that was I knew I was going to fish as hard as I could to the last second. I really, in my mind, was saying, don't finish second. I mean, don't finish third. To Mark Davis's credit, I mean, what a phenomenal bag at 34.10 or 12, and what a great job he did. And I knew how high that mountain was to climb, but I was really focused. Brent Ayler and Ott Defoe were coming, and they were coming fast and hard. And I was like, okay, if you're not going to win, at least try to finish second. That was kind of my mentality. But I knew one swing of the rod could be that 7 or 8 pounder. And that's what I was thinking about throughout, since I've had some time to kind of reflect back on the event, is I never weighed in a fish over 7 pounds. And that shocked me, because that time of year, when it's set up like that, usually you see a number between 7 and 10 pounds. You see a lot of those fish, and I didn't see any of those. And I knew that, man, just one swing of that rod could be that great big giant one. So I just stuck with it to the very end.
Well, you showed great poise, and our champions do. But you had another incident. We don't have a clip of this, but we were digging around for this one. You know what I'm talking about. You had the Mac Daddy of all backlashes, and that was incredible that you were able to keep your composure and catch that fish.
Well, here's the story. That wasn't a backlash. I had a backlash prior to, and I never pulled my line all the way out. And that's a good lesson for anybody. When you have fluorocarbon and you get a backlash, make sure you get all the way down to clean line. That line actually broke down in my reel. And if you watch, I actually had to reach up and grab it at my eye. And I started pulling it, and that's when it looked like it was a backlash. But that's what had happened. And I was like, you know what? I've caught a lot of big fish right there off of that single grass patch before, so I was like, if I get a bite, that might be a good one. I better not mess this up, just in case. And sure enough, there was a bite, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what we can do with this.
Man,
How's the hook set with your hands technique? Can you walk us through that? Like,
Well,
how does one practice that?
well, you don't practice it. You just think about it in the moment. So I pulled the line to where I could get it tight, and I didn't like grab the line from the rod. I left it in the rod because it was still through the eyes. So I pulled it and I got it to where it was tight, and I held this hand back to have a tight line, and it was almost like I was fly fishing, and I took this hand and I set the hook back that way with this line holding the line tight. So obviously we got the hook penetrated, and that was a fish that I look back and I remember that moment. I had told the cameraman and the official in my boat, I says, if anything crazy's to happen, that's the fish that, was a blessing for sure.
Yeah, well,
No
keeping
doubt.
your composure, it was, yeah, that fish never comes in, and you were cool as a cute. It almost like you were anticipating it. Like I remember the dialogue, I think, where you cast it out there, and you were like, "Man, I hope I don't get a bite or something like that," and you did.
Yeah.
You had, I mean, you felt it while you were digging out all this mess.
Well, I had made a perfect cast, and the bait, landed perfect right off the tip of a grass point. And I'm like, golly, man, I was anticipating getting a bite right there, as I did, a lot of the 1,000 casts that I made that I didn't get a bite, but I was anticipating that one, and, was able to put it all together. And, God's timing is amazing.
boy, is it.
Yeah, that's a lot of mental toughness and a well executed fish catch, and certainly a great win. So much fun to watch. Like, this was the big change, right? We've gone to the Big Five, and some of the I guess observations were, the we're not going to see the cut line be as active or as dynamic, or like the winds, aren't going to be as dynamic with the Big Five, maybe, or we were guessing, and
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like Andy Morgan catches a 6-pounder, at no time on the clock to get into the cut, and then your catch. I think it's amazing that it's just as dynamic.
Well, these guys they're the best in the world. And I think I was able to finally, I had to be on the water right after that, the very next day, and shoot the hunt for monster bass. The film crew was waiting. They were down there. Everything's already been planned. I think if anything, what we learned with that show is to not not plan a show after the day after the tournament, because we didn't get on the water till a little later that day. But, having the time to go back and view some of that and watch some of that footage. And you're right, with Andy's catch and, with the catch there at the end to win, all of that, I think it really is showing you that these guys don't quit until the very, very, very end. And that's, Rob Newell said it absolutely perfect. There's no quitting these guys, whether it's Mark Davis, whether it's Van Dam, whether it's Jacob Wheeler, Jordan Lee, Justin Lucas. I mean, the list goes on. With knowing the clock, knowing the time, and knowing the score, it will make you fish that much harder.
Well, you could certainly see it. We saw the intensity in this event, and it was just a lot of fun to watch. So, big shout out to Major League Fishing. That was tremendous and a great win. And one of the things that kind of struck me to get to the fishing side of things, we've seen forward-facing sonar win 2 major events. Everybody was probably guessing that wasn't going to be the case in those last 2 events. Did it play a role in your event at all? Were you able to see any of these fish? Was it an absolute non-factor?
Oh, it was a non-factor for me. I think the most important thing was my Lowrance electronics in using the 2D sonar on my new Power Pole Move trolling motor. The 2D sonar was allowing me to see what kind of bottom it was, whether there was some grass, but really my main focus through that event was what depth I was in. Was I in 4 foot or was I in 3.5? And 3.5 and shallower was my that was my go-to. So really focusing on that, really not using the forward-facing sonar in that event.
Wow. So that's a big deal. Like a half a foot meant everything
Yep.
to you.
Oh, absolutely. If I got to 4 foot for whatever reason, that was too deep.
No kidding. Wow. And that's like, I don't know. You were in Kissimmee. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I fished Hatchin Hall a few days, and then Kissimmee is where I ended up at the last day for sure.
Yeah. And it's like, there's not a lot of break lines there, right? It's pretty gradual, sloping water. So, man, it's so important on those flats to pay attention to that depth.
Yeah, to pay attention to that, but to also pay attention to the vegetation and to the bottom. A lot of the times you can stick your rod down and see. So really, depth was very key for me in that event.
What kind of grass were you fishing around?
Oh, I fished isolated lily pads, cattails, sticks, arrowheads, and Kissimmee grass. So all of those put together, and if you had them, sometimes if you had them mixed, that's where your better fish came from.
So there was no subsurface grass like hydrilla or
no, none of that.
Interesting. Okay. Why do you think that depth was so key? Was it like a light penetration type of deal? Were they trying to spawn, or what? Why do you think that half of a foot was so crucial?
I think the big thing with that was the fact that is where those fish were doing 3 things. They were setting up to go spawn. They were coming out after the spawn, holding in that area. And then at the same time, you had the ones that were actually spawning out there too.
Gotcha. You did a lot of work with the worm in this event, fishing slow, which to me, it's, I mean, personally, if I was fishing in the MLF style format and I had the clock and I knew what was going on, it would be hard to fish slow, right? But you got it done doing it that way. Were there any other baits for you that really played a key role? Like, was there a moving bait that you used to kind of find the key areas and then slow down with the worm, or was it just all dragging the whole time?
Yeah, well, in practice, I caught some nice ones on a chatterbait, or a vibrating jig. But I think most importantly was, finding some of those fish. But then as the tournament went on, every fish minus, I think, a couple that I weighed came off of off the Bass Pro Shop Sticko. Right. And I think I weighed a few in when it slicked off on the knockout round. I caught some nice ones on the lane changer, and it kind of just kept, building and building and building. And I think that's what's really cool about the Major League Fishing format now is 15 pounds, or even if you catch 25 pounds and you're like, okay, do I lay off these a little bit or something? Well, Mark Davis has got 34, so you're still 10 pounds behind. So you better go try to catch some.
Right.
I think that's what's really neat about it.
What is the lane changer worm?
Well, the lane changer, it's a top water plug that we invented.
Okay.
Yeah, designed after the devil horse that,
Gotcha.
That's all my grandpa threw down there. That's what we learned how to, how we learned to fish was with that.
Chris, let me ask you this. What makes you choose between a straight style, like a stick worm, Senko style worm, Bass Pro Shops, whatever, or the curly tail worm? Because I remember when you won at the St. John's, you were working in both, right? You were working in a straight stick worm and a curly tail worm. What's the big difference, and kind of why one or the other?
Well, sometimes those fish, when it's, it really depends on the bite. Okay. Sometimes you can throw a curl tail worm down there, such as a 10-inch worm, ribbon tail type bait. And I think that's mainly when it gets really, really, really calm. It's good. It's not like, because you're throwing it all with a weight. Even the Sticko I was throwing with a weight. So a lot of the times, if it's really calm, you'll see that ribbon tail going down or coming through the water, to where when it's kind of rough and the fish are very aggressive, just that slow fall of just a straight tail worm, really excites them even more. So you just have to play with that and let the fish tell you what they want.
Gotcha. How much weight were you using this week on the front of the worm?
Yep, just a 3/16. If it got real windy, I'd pick up a quarter sometimes. And then I had three different weights set up: 8, 3/16, and a quarter. But mainly the 3/16 was the go-to.
Were you pegged or unpegged?
Yep.
You were pegged?
Peg, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Jocelyn, I'm going to send it to you for some IM questions, but I just got a follow up on that. I saw Mark Davis fishing slower than a giant sloth. And slow was like the recipe, right? How are you, is that, I mean, how does one trigger strikes like that? Explain that to somebody watching you do this. Like, are you like getting it around a root and knowing that you got to just let it sit there, or just let it sit on the bottom? Or is it on the fall? How are those strikes triggered like that?
I think the biggest thing with that was, I was fishing slow. The strike zone in those lily pads, cattails, whatever, the strike zone is very small. And for me, it was fish it slow in that strike zone. If you didn't get any bites after, 20 minutes or so, then you were in the wrong area, or those fish weren't biting for whatever reason. And that is something that I had to change up. And I would move to another area to where when you got a bite in that very small strike zone, then you could slow down a little bit and pinpoint your cast and kind of dive into that area a little bit more as you would get bites.
Well, awesome to watch. I mean, not everybody can fish slow, but I'm pretty good at fishing slow, so I can appreciate it. Jocelyn, let me pass it on to you.
We have a few questions. Longtime Bass University subscriber Howie Range wanted to know, Chris, at what depth do you disregard using forward-facing sonar?
That's a really good question. I usually, if it's 4 foot or shallower, I kind of use just old school tactics as far as the rod and putting it down in the water, looking for the bottom and the depth, and visually seeing with my eyes what's in front of me, and feeling with the baits kind of what's around. 5 foot and less for me. I know some of these younger guys are really good at it and probably use it in 2 foot of water, but for me, it's usually 5 foot or deeper is when I will have it on and really be paying attention to it.
Excellent. You got another one?
Well, I was also reading the Bass Blaster, and there was a quote of the day, and it was about forward-facing sonar, how it can be addicting but cause people to waste valuable fishing minutes. Do you find that to be true, where if you're using forward-facing sonar and you catch a fish and you follow the fish, find another fish, follow that fish, you get distracted and lose your spot?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing with forward there, and that's the hardest thing. Even though the most beautiful baits in the world are out there nowadays, every technique is available, but sometimes those fish just don't want to bite, and it can be addicting to try to make that fish bite, just like a video game.
Yeah, we see, we learned a lot at Bass University. A lot of instruction was done on forward facing and identifying the different. A lot of times you get caught fishing for the wrong species, even until you get comfortable being able to identify that. I want to go back to your gear, Chris. What hook are you using in that sticko? Are you straight shank? Are you EWG? What are you using?
Straight shank XPS 5/0 hook. It's one that I've used for a long time, and the hook penetration, the hookup ratio on that just is higher than any other one. But there again, for the kids out there and the people that are trying to learn, everybody's hook set is different. The way they swing the rod, what gear ratio they use, all of that is different. So just because that's what we use and that's what's been working for me, there's been times when I'll throw an EWG on, say, a weightless sticko, and I will have better hookups with that. So it's just really something that works best for you, and when you're out there trying to learn what's best. You can read it in a book, you can see it, you can watch it on YouTube, but time on the water and what you learn, what's best for you, will always prevail everything else.
Speaking of hook setting, Nate Wilson had a question about how do you set the hook when flipping? Are you slacklining them or more of a pull? Because Chris and you and Hackney have to have the prettiest hook sets in the business.
Well, that's an honor to be put in that group with Hackney. When flipping, it's always you want a tight line. You don't want to have slack in your line. One, it can rip a hole in your mouth, the fish's mouth, if you're using braid. And number two, you want a straight pull, which is it allows you to have a much better hookup ratio and actually landing the fish.
What when your line breaks and pandemonium and knots and tag, what is the recommended rod length and power to survive that situation?
Yeah, so my go-to rod, seriously, on a long cast, or when you're pitching heavy cover, making.
Well, looks like we just dropped the signal. He's out on Gville. So, or he got a phone call, because he just wanted to be
Yeah,
that's possible.
Or he
too.
caught a fish.
Let's take a guess on what his rod length is going to be, Pete.
It's got to be a 7.5.
Serious feedback, but a 7.4 medium heavy Johnny Morris rod is what I'm using.
I got you. Okay, are you
Oh, there
when
we
you're
are.
flipping?
Sorry about that.
No, we got you. You came in. You came back just in time for us to get the rod length and model. What are you high speed reel when you're flipping for efficiency, or do you not care about that? What's your reel on that rod?
Yeah, it's a 8:3 to 1 gear ratio, Johnny Moore's reel. The reason being is because I want to get that bait in. We talked about those small strike zones in those areas. Well, once it's out and you got a 70-yard cast, everything in between is irrelevant. So you want to reel it in and make another cast as fast as you can.
It looked like fluorocarbon. You were dealing with straight fluoro was your line of choice. What was your pound test?
20-pound XPS fluorocarbon line. Got me through the lily pads, got me out of the lily pads. Had some unfortunate break-offs too, when they get you around. Usually my go-to is 17, but those fish were so aggressive and they were fighting so hard this time of year that I went up to 20-pound, and it didn't really seem to affect the bite that much.
Well, that's key stuff. Jocelyn, I know we got
We do. We have
another
a couple. Joe
question.
Campbell wants to know, what knot are you tying?
Good question.
Palmar knot. Everything except for top water, then I'll tie a double cinch. So Palmar knot is the one that is the bait or the knot that I go to on pretty much everything.
And Hunter Chesner wants to know, how do you change your mindset from Florida fishing to going to North Carolina? At your level, does it not make a difference?
It makes a huge difference. I got home in my garage, took most everything in my boat out, and put all the crankbaits and the swim baits and the clear line and all the stuff that you go and fish a lake that doesn't have grass.
Yeah, that's a crazy difference. Like for those of us that don't live in Florida, don't have a lot of Florida experience, it's like fishing on the moon down there.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Wasn't it different this year because like the hurricane or whatever changed?
Yeah, that's a great question. Did the hurricane impact the Kissimmee chain?
Yes, very much so. Kissimmee FWC has done a fantastic job with the Kissimmee chain of lakes. That hurricane put a lot of water in that chain, and the water was very high. That's why you saw so many guys on the bank. The fish are up there. The fish were biting. The water was clear. It looked good. It was set up. The whole Kissimmee chain was fantastic.
Yeah, the water level was high. Now we saw down at Okeechobee that a lot of the stuff, the vegetation got ripped out, and or at least that's what I had heard. That didn't happen in the Kissimmee chain. They survived it. They just have a lot of extra water.
Yeah, it's a completely the hurricane hit Okeechobee more direct,
Right.
and Okeechobee with that big of a bowl, you don't really have any islands to protect anything. And then once that storm comes over the dike, then it'll push the whole body of water to one end, and the south end, depending on where the storm comes from, the other end will be dry, and it'll push all that vegetation, blow it all out, and then the water will come back after the storm's gone. So it usually takes a good year or so for a lake to really get back to normal from a direct hit from a hurricane.
I want to ask you. You said this when you won, and it kind of impacted me that you were right there in sight where your grandfather took you fishing and where you grew up, and that's you could see that area where you won this tournament. That looked like it meant a lot to you.
Yeah, it was a very emotional win. Not so much because I got 4 kids, and hey, $100,000 goes a long way. But I got kids in college. I got all that. That was great. But the emotional side of things was right there. I fished a lot of big tournaments on Kissimmee and on that chain, and I've never really won a national event there. It seems like the cold fronts have always come the last 2 days of the event. So to do that, to do it there, to do it where I did, to fish where I fished, where my dad, my grandpa, and my brothers, mom, sister, everybody, where we would go and spend the weekend, and favorite memories of a kid. Yeah, it was very touching to me and to our whole family.
Well, that was terrific, and once again, congratulations. And you said your grandpa, he threw a topwater. That's all he threw.
Yeah, I got invoices from Bass Pro that he ordered 350 double horses at one time. So that was all he would throw. He'd only throw the silver shiner, and that's what me and my brothers and sisters, if we had a birthday or got a good report card, which that didn't happen very much. My sister did, but me, Arnie, and Bobby, we were a little slow on the report card side of things. But if we got a good one, we would get a double horse.
And that's so interesting because I've heard so many old school Florida anglers, man. They lock that topwater in their hand, cold front, warm front. They just throw that all day long.
Yeah, it's just notorious for catching big fish down there, and that's why, we came out with the lane changer, to copy that, but put our little touch on it, and it works. It's fun. It's fantastic. But when it comes to fish in Florida that time of year, that Bass Pro Shop sticko's hard to beat.
Well, I want to invite everybody watching over at bashu.tv. We've got Chris. You were generous to give us a master class on topwater fishing at Bass University, and that's available for all you guys to go check out, as well as Chris's seminar on equipment and the importance of selecting the right equipment for the right job. And all your Florida equipment is now back at home. And and now we've got, I think, a couple crankbait rods on the deck. What do you think is going to happen here at the Red Crest?
Man, I have no idea. I really haven't even thought about it. I'm thinking that, I got a little secret weapon. Has nothing to do with fishing, but when I get there, I'm excited to go and to fish and to, feel that water out. I have fished there, a number of times, actually. Have some family there, and it's a lake that I hold dear to my heart, but at the same time, know the opportunities that can happen with big fish there. So looking to run some, water around there and see what happens, but mainly get out there and stay focused and try to catch those bigger fish. It's just so, it's kind of like rejuvenation, I guess, to be able to go and try to catch, the 5 and 6 pounders instead of, a 2 pounder. But their 2 pounders can make all the difference in the world. It's not all lollipops and candy canes all the time.
How much momentum are you feeling now carrying into this? Because now you've won a classic, you've won an elite series, you've won an MLF BPT. I mean, shoot, your brother won the Red Crest last year. Let's just keep it in the family this year, right? Like, just go out there and go out there and win it, right? How much momentum are you feeling rolling into this?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. There again, not really thinking about it right now. I've got 7 podcasts I think I got to do tomorrow. So we're going to finish those up. And then, as time gets closer, as it gets near, start looking at the weather, start looking at the water temperature, start kind of putting, a practice game plan together, and then, get ready to go try to catch 5 big ones again. I love it.
Yeah. Do they have 5 pounders at Lake Norman?
Yeah, they do. I've actually caught one about 7 or 8 pounds there before on top water too.
No, I know it's a great. I love fishing that lake, and we'll be watching the Red Crest. When does the televised portion of that kick off?
Man, I believe everything's live starting Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll certainly be watching that one. Is there anything else on the schedule that you're excited about this year? Any body of water coming that you can't wait to get to?
Man, I'm excited for all of them. There again, last week was just crazy, and then going straight into filming for the Hunt for Monster Bass, getting home, taking care of the family stuff that needs to happen, and spending time with them and catching up on that. I really am just taking one event at a time. And I look forward to Guntersville for sure, because I get to sleep in my own bed.
What time of year is Guntersville?
It's in May, so it should be really good.
That's a post spawn, right? They should be done by then.
And it all depends on Mother Nature. They were spawning in May here last year, so we'll see.
Right.
I got you. Well, thanks for joining us from Lake Guntersville, and appreciate you taking time for our podcast and all you do for Bass University. Appreciate that very much, and we'll be watching and rooting for you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. And girls.
The champ, Chris Lane.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, y'all.
buddy. Man, what a deal. Those Lane brothers, man, with these last-minute fish catches.
I know. It's like they just try to like keep everybody on the ropes, keep them hanging around, and then all right, 2 minutes left. Let's go ahead and end this thing.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. And Bob, you remember Bobby? That's the classic one where he weighed that fish. It had to be 2 pounds. He weighed it 3 times before he got, and then the third time it got to 2 pounds, and he wins the event. Just amazing. And then Chris's catch is crazy.
I think that Marshall was just like loving seeing him like walk around and question if he won, thought he lost,
Yeah. It's funny because until Chris explained that to me, I didn't understand why he didn't know that he won. And that makes perfect sense. Like he thought he had to make up a 412, not that that's the fish that he had to catch. He thought he needed a 7-pounder on top of 3. Yeah. And I'm like, I get it now. They're getting used to the new format.
Yeah, you get used to that the old format. It's easy to see why that's what he was thinking. But it makes it all the sweeter.
Yeah.
To like that surprise is almost like as good as it's better than knowing that you won. And like honestly, I was serious when I said like, keeping that mindset like is really not the worst thing. And obviously now that he knows how the format works, it's not going to happen again. But like
shoot not higher. So even if you miss,
you always
you're still gonna hit where you want.
When you get to like everybody's always got a mark in their head of like, okay, I need this. I need 15 pounds today. I need 20, 25, whatever it is. Always once you get to that mark, whether it's 15 or 20, immediately you can't just say, okay, this is enough, right? It's got to be okay. Well, if I caught this many, how many other guys caught this many and had a good day? Where's my next mark? 5 pounds higher, 3 pounds higher, whatever it is. Keeping that not getting settled. Because the minute you get settled right on the water and you 1 o'clock, you got your 20 pounds, you think, oh, I'm good. I'm going to go back to the goose and grab a crush and a wings and the whole deal. Well, guess what? Somebody's going to come in with a big old bag behind you. So
yeah,
you got to just keep on the throttle.
I like that mentality, Rich.
Yeah, and that BPT format forces these guys to do that because they know, right?
Yeah.
But for most of us in a 5-fish tournament, like, man, whether you got 18 pounds or 24 pounds, I don't think you have enough. Like, you always need more.
You got to grind until the end. And you can even see it like Suente's felt like he didn't have it. He felt like he needed one more big fish. And that's the mentality you got to have, though.
Yep.
And that, and you could see the difference between the two formats, where one you don't know and one you do know.
Right.
And I don't know. They're both intense.
Let's talk about that a little bit after the break. Let's talk about some of those because we just talked MLF. Let's recap a little bit of bass stuff.
Yeah, that's how it sounds good. Like and share the feed, guys. We got a really cool gift for you from Waterwood, and we have a grand prize. We're going to be giving away some stuff when we come back from break. So I hope you paid attention, because we're going to be asking you a question based on what we learned today from Chris Lane. So we'll be right back giving away some stuff right after this.
What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bass University, and I am excited to welcome in Waterwood Custom Baits to the Bass U family. These are custom handmade baits in the South Rainforest of Brazil. They're made of Marupa pedra wood. It's extremely dense, it's resistant, but it's also really buoyant. They're made of quality components with a 100% guarantee. They're made for tournament anglers to get it done when the money is on the line. Guys, that was like my second cast with this bait. That's a Waterwood custom bait. These things are handmade in the rainforest south of Brazil. And I mean, as you can see right here, it's a fish catching bait. It's got the front hook. That means they wanted it. This bait's, it's running really true. It throws really well. Guys, check them out at waterwoodcustombaits.com.
The leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Shout out to the group. Hey guys, welcome back to Bass University Live. If you're watching over on social, like and share the feed. We got a really cool contest for you guys. We're giving away some Waterwood baits for that, and we also have a great grand prize that we're going to be asking here shortly. Who's hanging out with us today, Josh?
I do want to give a few shout outs. So one thing that I really love about being on Bash U is every time I log into the chat, everyone says good morning. So we have a good morning from Logan and BKJ, Bruce, long leader drop shot John. That's a mouthful. James, Nico Dutton, Dan Allen. Dan Allen, I see your name every week on the message board. Thanks
up,
for
Dan?
always participating. Hunter Chesner, Howie Range, longtime member. Love seeing that name as well. Logan, I know Logan. I believe you're in college or high school, and I really love that you always tune in. It's always great seeing you. St. Cress, he actually just wrote he got his Waterwood baits in the mail a few days ago, and they look great, and he can't wait to try them.
Awesome.
We just love having you guys on. And if you are a member and you're on Facebook, I know there's a few people I recognize some names on there, but head over to the message board, ask your questions. Scott Van Leer, I know you're on there. Jeffrey Young, thank you for always liking and sharing. You're doing great. Joe Campbell, Diehard Anglers. We love having you guys tune in every week, and it's great seeing your names.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Thank you guys all for watching, hanging out with us.
Do it without you guys.
Yes.
Without the viewers, without
why
the
we
listeners, we can't do
One
it. Guys,
thing I do want to ask of you guys, though, if there's any chance, I love hearing testimonies and using testimonies and getting more word out there. So if you have a testimony about Bash U, please send it to me. I'll put my email address in there, but it's always great hearing what you have to say.
We want to hear from you guys. We get so many great ones, and you know, if you're using Bass University to help your fishing get better, a seminar that impacted you to be able to learn a technique that you're having trouble with, maybe it's getting you to catch fish consistently or getting into the winter circle. My favorite testimonial as of late is Jonathan Dietz. Just big shout out to him. He's going to be fishing the Classic here this month, who used Bass University, watched the John Murray jerkbait seminar, how to catch fish in difficult situations, and use that technique to qualify himself through the Federation for the Bassmaster Classic. So that's like the ultimate testimonial. And but we want to hear from you guys if you're how you're using the program, how you're getting better with your fishing, and very excited about a lot of the great content that we filmed this year with so many great anglers and so many great topics that are going to help everybody move forward. I also want to give a shout out to the Share Lunker guys and everybody out there. We loved coming out to Texas, and we're going to be there again next year. And man, did I hear right? They had a 17-pounder that just got added. I think it's like the 6th or 7th largest.
Like 17.4 or something like that.
17.4 pound Share Lunker. Yeah. It's like one of the biggest that they've caught. Top 10. I think it's cracked the top 10 out there to Share Lunker program. So hey to everybody out there. And it's really I think it's a program that inspires everybody around the country to grow these big bass. Everybody should do it like they do it in Texas. So we've got we were talking a little bit. Are you almost ready to cue that up, Rich?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the bass events. Yeah. And I'm
you still
up a pretty cool clip for our guys.
All right, I want to show you guys that clip. But yeah, the difference in the events, it's really interesting. And Tyler Rivette and Joey Cifuentes. That's
Cifuentes the third.
It's a tricky name for me. I'm getting it, but we're all going to know it because I know he's the cowboy. And those two guys dominated the first two elite events using forward-facing sonar. And
dominated is the word. Dominated.
Yes. Like he won by double digits.
Yeah.
Joey did. And Tyler did too. And you and I were talking about the Tyler tournament like on Tuesday when I saw the fronts come through, and so those fish are so tentative in Florida. And once again, I point back to JT Kenny's seminar on Bass University, where he taught me about Florida bass, because I'm always studying about Florida bass because they're a little bit challenging for me. But one of the things he said that stuck with me and resonates forever is that Florida bass like stability. It can be cold, it can be hot, as long as it's stable. But change is not something that they respond well to. And that's what we had at that Okeechobee tournament. We had a lot of change. And as a result, the stability of working in that deeper canal, using his forward-facing sonar, it just separated them from the field. The guys that were fishing the flats, those fish were just getting spun out as the wind shifted directions. It muddied up some places. Water temperatures changed a little bit, and that they did not like it. Had it stayed warm and steady, it probably would have been one there, could have been one there. But the stability of that deep water river system is what got him through that. But some of the differences, Rich, we were talking about, like not knowing the weight versus knowing the weight. What do you like that, or do you, if you were a competitor,
man,
do you like that or not, or wouldn't like that?
You know, it's tough to speak to, honestly, Pete, for obvious reasons. I've never fished in an MLF style event where you know your weight and you get constant updates. I mean, you know, the closest thing I've fished in that to be would be big fish events where, you know, you weigh in your fish every hour and you get a text on who won and what kind of weights are coming in. And even in just that format, like knowing, like, okay, in the first period of the day, somebody weighed in a 6. It's like, all right, somebody's, you know, somebody's triggering some big bites. It definitely makes you think differently. You know, and then the before bass tournament fishing, like the athletic side of me always, I say, like, yeah, well, if I was playing football or baseball, I knew the score, right? Like I knew what was going on. So I knew how much kind of a pressure cooker that puts you in, and the mental clock that it goes on. But, you know, to tie that back to fishing, it really, you know, it has to affect the way you think on the water. I mean, right? Because we're always, you know, we're fishing against the fish ultimately, but when you know what the guys you're up against are catching, it kind of starts to make you think you need to fish against those guys. So, you know, it could affect, you know, your decision making positively or negatively. And I'd like to think that the guys that are most successful in the MLF, when they take that information that they're getting from their marshal, they use it to influence the next correct decision, where some guys may take it the other way.
Right. It's either it's going to help you or it's going to make you spin out of control sideways, trying to chase a bite that you can't find, right? Because you got to keep up.
Right.
I can tell you this. I fished the Texas Bass Classic, the first one that they had, and it was real-time score tracking going on. And I wanted it had this like radio device, and every time a fish would get caught, it'd be like a notification on your phone. Beep, beep, beep. It would beep, beep, beep. I wanted to drown that thing. I wanted to hit it with a baseball bat as like you can't. I did not want to know. I did, because I'm, you know, as a competitor, I'm trying to dissect the waterway, listen to the fish, and move and adjust with conditions. And so to be constantly reminded that guys are catching them better than me, or, you know, it's just, but then when you would catch them, you were like, yes, now I'm applying pressure to them.
Yeah.
You know, they're hearing,
Yeah,
they're
somebody else
hearing,
is getting that beep, beep, beep.
yeah, somebody else is getting it. And, you know, so
now, does everyone always update Bass Track, or is it to each their own?
well, Bass Track is done by marshals if you have it in the boat. Of course, that's a Bassmaster's deal.
Bassmaster, okay.
And there are situations where they don't have a marshal. Like there may be several guys that don't. So you might not get an update till 10 o'clock. I was listening to one of the guys. He had a cool perspective on it, that he updates because he knows his family and friends and fans are watching.
Gotcha.
Right. He doesn't want to, but he's like, how can he have his wife sit there and she's in it with him and she doesn't know. So he stops what he's doing and updates it himself during the tournament for that reason.
Yeah.
And because, like, if you don't have to stop, like, as a competitor, man, you don't want to
stop.
You lose a cast. You lose 2 casts.
Seconds,
You don't want to stop to do it. But I started doing it like on the opens. Like I recognize it because, you know, you got the Bass University crowd and a lot of guys, and thank you so much for following me and rooting for me even when I fall in. The updating the score became an important part of it, and
Mm-hmm.
people would, if they didn't see you update your number, even if you're doing poorly. And that's one of the other things is like when you're doing poorly, the last thing you want to do is, I just caught another 1.5 pound fish.
Right.
You don't want it. Now, when you get a 5 pounder, you're excited about
Right.
to put it in.
But at the end of the
you
day,
know?
it might be good too for you to go back and look at those numbers and be like, I caught 50 bass today. What like and do some research on that. You know what I mean?
Those stats will definitely help you. We try to keep them in our head. It's probably better if we write them down because it will reveal a lot of stuff. But
subscriber Dan Allen just said Lee Livesey didn't have a marshal and he still called in a penalty. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that story.
Yeah, at Okeechobee. Well, he didn't have
he had 6 fish.
Yeah, at Okeechobee, he didn't have a marshal on day 2. So he had his camera guy in the boat with his media guy, Jesse Renaud.
Yep.
And he said he was on a scrape. He was catching fish one after another. And he caught a big one, and him and Jesse were, whatever they do, chest bumping, all that weird stuff that they probably do together with no shirts on and whatever. But and he got so caught up in it that he made a cast with the 6 fish in the live well,
man.
and immediately no marshal, no anything. He called Lisa Talmadge. He said, this is what happened. He even on the phone, he said,
That's
Lisa, apologize to Brandon because I used to make fun of Polinick for doing that same thing, and now I did the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's the rule, guys. Once you possess 6 fish, your next action has to be a cull.
Oh.
You got to release one. If you make a cast, you've made a violation. And I can't tell you how many times guys have brought 6 fish to the scales.
Yep.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I made one mistake, but it was the other way.
Brought 4. You called down.
Oh
crap! I'm back to 4.
I was in the Derby. I caught my 5th fish and I let it go. I finally got my limit and I immediately dropped myself back to 4.
How'd that one shake out, Pete?
I got lucky. I got away with it. I was on enough fish. I got a limit and that fish didn't matter and it worked out.
When you realized it, what was your thought process?
Your stomach, your heart drops. Like you're just like, oh, you idiot.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I have thought I did that before and I didn't, but like in that moment that I thought I did, I was like, oh
yeah. Yeah, and that's why you see guys counting them all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what always worries me about like depending so heavily. Like I use a scale.
Right.
My Rapala scale is a staple and it's important in my culling system, but I don't depend on it to make my cull. I still depend on that beam to choose, and because I just worry that I'm going to miscount or screw it up. So you see guys doing it all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're always counting. I always do too.
What's your method? Like, do you pull them all out? Like, I know, everybody's got a different method to culling. Let's flush this out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, here's my situation is I got a couple philosophies about like what's the best time to catch a big fish. Immediately after you've just caught a big fish.
Right.
That's the best time. And what are we mostly doing? We're taking pictures, we're culling, we're weighing, and you're burning time when you have this bite window.
Yeah.
And so I throw fish in. If I have 2 live wells to work with, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Most oftentimes you're faced with 1 or 2 big, higher quality fish, easy to separate them. And then you're only culling through 2 or 3 smaller ones in most situations. So I don't even tag the big ones.
Right.
I always tag the little guys, and that's all I deal with. I keep them. So I only have to typically deal with 2 or 3 at a time. Where you come into problems with is like on a place like Thousand Islands with that strategy.
Yeah.
They're all 3.5 pounders. They look identical.
Right.
You can't tell them apart. So you got to go through all 5, and managing them is a problem. So what I'll do is in that situation, when I get to my 6 fish, I will weigh and I will take a moment and I'll weigh everything out and tag everything out.
Right.
But I don't do it as it's happening.
Right. Neither do I. I don't put cull tags on fish until I get to 5.
Mm-hmm.
When I get to when I get to 6. When I'm at 5, all right, First mission accomplished. I got the limit. Now we got to start culling. When I get to the point of culling, like you, Pete, if I got two that are marginally bigger than the others, I put those two in one side of the live well, and then the other four, I might get some flack for this, but I always keep a gallon jug of water in my boat, and the top third is cut off. And what I do is I take that gallon jug of water, scoop up some water out of the lake. I pour the water on the floor of the boat so that there's actually water on top of my carpet. I take my 4 fish, I lay them down on the wet carpet, so they're not dry, hot carpet. The carpet's wet, guys. I'm taking care of the fish. And if 2 of them look definitely bigger, boom, they go back in. And 2 that are close, they weigh them out, put them back in, and let it roll from there. And you know which one after you do your call, which one is next out. But
one of the things that I do is I keep a bag in my boat, like a weigh-in bag. And that's what I'll if I have to take them all out to go through that, I'll put them in there.
Aren't there little clip things?
Yeah. We got little. We mark. That's what we eventually put the clippies on there, and we mark them all out.
Another little trick when you're going through your culling process, and you have your tags with the balls or the tags with the strings, whatever. If you have a few that are close and you have to work through those 3, you can leave the ball outside of your live well and shut the lid down on it. So you basically just have, the 3 fish that you're working through on a short leash in your live well. That way you don't got to go down and dig through them. And, once you make your call, other side of the box, make your call, other side of the box, unless you're in a 2-person event like a BFL where you got to have your fish in one side, your co's fish on the other side. And then you got to take some alternative strategies.
Long leader drop shot John says he uses tags immediately so it doesn't take so long to pull the coal fish out of the live well.
And that's John, you're what Rich and I are talking about is you're delaying that. You're moving very efficiently through getting your limit into your first call. But then you burn up some time because we didn't do it as we went. So now we have to donate that time after we get our 6 fish. If you do it through the course of the day, it's more efficient as you get through the culling process.
I wish I could say it was a time strategy for me. It's honestly a superstition thing for me.
Yeah,
it's 100% superstitious. I've had
I know you were one of those guys. You got to get that 5 in the boat.
Have to.
You're also the guy that wears the same lucky hat, right?
Well, yeah,
it's like the faded.
Yeah. I got a
you
lot
got
of
some
weird
superstitions.
I got a lot of weird.
I want to hear what our subscriber superstitions are. Do you guys have any?
I'm sure they do, but I've just been burned on the days where like I put a cull tag on my first fish, and then I got 4 in there. At the end of the day, they all have cull tags, but
no limit. Yeah, and that's that, John. That's where that's where we benefit by not doing that, because if it's one of those days where you're only going to catch 5, you didn't waste any time. Right. You just put them all in and you're done with it.
It does not take much time at all to pull a cull tag out, put it on, put it in the fish. Like we're talking about like seconds. But, seconds can definitely be the difference.
Well, yeah, Jake always gives me Lucky Charms in every tournament. Like just anything from little figurines. He's like,
I thought you meant the cereal Lucky Charms.
Dude, if it works.
Well, at least he's feeding you.
That would be better. But no, it's just little knickknacks. Like little army guys, his little green army guys. He gave me some, and he'll put them in the boat, and he'll
I got a few of those. I got one of Pedro Fighter's Lucky Rocks last fall.
Pedro Fighters,
Seth's dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Peter Fighter, but his nickname is Pedro.
Okay, yeah.
He always has Lucky Rocks that Seth kept in his boat for his AOY year and on. So I saw Seth's dad.
You got one of those?
I got one, dude. I saw Seth's dad in here. Hold on, this is actually a good story. I saw Seth's dad at the Mississippi River event in Wisconsin. I was like, dude, I got an open coming up on the bay. Do you have any Lucky Rocks? And he said, as a matter of fact, I do. And he pulls this rock out of his pocket, and it's this polished rock. It's the most beautiful. I'll take a picture. We'll post it on social, but it's the most beautiful polished rock you've ever seen. And I put it in my pocket. He says, all right, now you got to keep it on you. Don't lose it. And so I'm like, all right, for the first few weeks, I'm keeping it in my pocket. Like it's on me at all times, right? and I'm out on the Saturday before the Open, and I'm practicing. I'm doing through my whole thing, and I actually, a lot of times in the summer, like I'll go spend 6 hours in the morning. I'll come in, let the dogs out, eat lunch, tie up at the dock, go back out for the afternoon. And so I did that, and I had Pedro's Lucky Rock in my pocket, and I tied my boat up at the mooring buoy. I jumped in the water, and I swim over to the dock. And as soon as I get to the dock, Taylor's there, and I'm like, I just have a ghost look on my face. I'm like, the rock. I lost the rock. I can't find the rock. So I go back over to the boat. I swim down to the bottom. I'm feeling around and on the bottom of the bay, like looking for where my rock is. Right. And there's current, there's everything. And so like at that point, I thought I lost the rock. So I swim down to the bottom. I pick up another rock. I'm like, all right, you'll be my rock now. I put it in the boat. Anyway, fast forward.
We're a mess.
I know. I have a decent tournament at the Open. And then after that, like I through the fall, I started to just get on this tear. Like third place in the next event, second place in the next event, first place with Eric in November, caught almost 25 pounds. And, the whole time I'm thinking that I had lost the rock. So at the end of the year, in like the first week of December, which is the one time a year I clean my boat, I'm cleaning out my boat. And what do I find between my seats?
The rock.
Oh, man.
Pedro's Lucky Rock is between the seats. So it had fallen out of my pocket before I jumped in the water that day. And I find Pedro's rock. But here's the moral to this story. And I know I'm getting long-winded here, guys. Hang with me. And here's the moral to the story. I had thought that I lost the rock, so it wasn't luck. There was no luck to it because I thought that I had lost the rock, but I went in and found it anyway. So for anybody that has superstitions, there you go.
All right.
So many people
any sports psychologist listening to this podcast, please send your information to Riz. He's in desperate need.
So true.
So true.
What are they saying, John?
So many people said no bananas in the boat. Is that like
a
thing?
That is a thing. Man, I've known that story. It's something about the spiders, I think. That came from the bananas. Like I don't know. You guys might remember the story, but that's where that comes from. But yeah, you bring.
Stefan said, "I need some of those rocks."
Dude, I'm borrowing those. We have to like negotiate. Like I might need it for like the first week of May or something.
Dude, I have it taped. I have it taped in my boat right now. Yeah, there's like I have like a plug in a hole that it could go down. There's a Shimano buoy next to it to keep it lodged in there. Like that rock ain't leaving. Pedro's Lucky Rocks.
I like it. I got to get one of those. It's like KVD's cookies and
yeah, Sherry's cookies.
Sherry's
Everybody's
cookies
got their weird little quirks though, man. And I even had one for breakfast this year. This year, every day before a tournament, I had to have 3 scrambled eggs, 1 piece of buttered toast. That was it. Every day.
Dad said that we should give some Pedro's rocks away for giveaways. We're gonna have to seal it out of Rich's boat.
Man, that would be the ultimate giveaway. That'd be the super prize. But hey, we are going to be giving away some really cool prizes right now. And get yourself signed up for the Seeing Red promotion if you haven't done that already. And we are going to be at the Classic this year down in Knoxville in just a couple of weeks. So come by and see us, guys. We love to see you guys. Also send us pictures, put them, share them on social, tag us. We'd love to see pictures of you guys and what you're catching out there. The fishing season's making its way up the latitude in the country now. So they're fishing down south. They're going to be fishing everywhere here real soon. So we love to see that. I also want to give a shout out and a recommendation to go check out the Big Bass podcast by our friend Ken Duke, wherever you get your podcasts. Great stories about all the world records and the controversy. And he is the absolute best to be talking about all that stuff because he has a vast knowledge about how our wonderful sport all got started and all those great giants that may or may not be true. The records, a lot of controversy over there. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, that's the place for you. A lot of fun. Go check it out. Do you have the trivia question ready, Riz?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the name of the rock?
Yeah, right. No, I got the trivia question ready. What the trivia question is for today on the Bash U Live podcast is Chris Lane said that he had 3 Bass Pro Shop stickos rigged up. What were the 3 weights that Chris had on the deck ready to go? He had 3 rods rigged up with a sticko. He had a different weight on each of those. What were the 3 weights?
I'm aware of the 2. Did I miss the third
There
one?
was 3.
What?
You're gonna have to check the message board.
And last chance to like and share, guys. And we're going to be giving away a prize here in just a minute.
St. Crest, you're just too good. He gets
That
it
quick.
all the time. All that quick.
Yep. He's taking it. Is he using Chat GPT? Is he using AI? What's going on?
Love that thing.
Congratulations, St. Crest, with the correct answer of 1/8, 3/16, and 1/4.
All right. I want to dive into all those different weights.
Yeah.
I want Chris, can you come back on?
Yeah, sure.
I want to know where, when, and why for those 3 different ones. I imagine it's all depth and cover and
cover, wind. He mentioned wind. When the wind would get up, he would go to the quarter.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes a lot of sense,
Yep.
Especially with a worm like that, where he's not necessarily like really super accurate pitching to targets. It was more of like a cast and a drag.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know a lot of guys, like when you're pitching, like if you get on a pitching bite, and it's a quarter or it's 3/8, you're better off sticking to the same weight but changing your bait to affect the rate of fall.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to be able to pick that it feel exactly the same to make an accurate pitch. But when you're casting a worm out, 1/8, 3/16 quarter doesn't really make too much of a difference in your accuracy. So it just affects the rate of fall down, how it sets on top of the sill.
Yeah, so it doesn't, because you want the lighter weights because it's such a soft bottom in Florida, and you don't want it to just disappear into there. Yep. And that stick bait, how powerful that was. I mean, watching Mark Davis, of course, he was using the Ocho and 34-10, and then Chris had 26 pounds on his final day. Just the power of that during the spawn for Florida fish, it's pretty powerful.
Man, it's a fun way of fishing too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you start getting bites on it, it's not a nice hook set. You're really giving it to them. You're jamming them. So
yep. No doubt. Do we have a like and share winner?
We sure do. I know I'm gonna butcher his name. Frank Proliferone.
Frank Proliferone.
Yeah,
Frankie Provolone.
Frankie Provolone.
Congrats, Frankie.
Won some Waterwood custom bait.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
Awesome, guys. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to be back next week with another edition of Bash University Live. Check out what are the new releases here this week, Grizz?
This week on Bash
I'm going over there to see.
What do we got rolling out here? I mean, it's always some good stuff.
Fishing around the spawn, how appropriate with Scott Canterbury.
Yeah.
Terrific champion angler and great instructor. Great information. What we filmed the question and answer session, and Scott was such a powerful force in our Q&A at this year's Bass University where we had him. Nick LeBrun fishing hard spots and shell beds. What an important factor. We didn't see shell beds play a role this year in Florida. Man,
no, we didn't.
It was such a factor in the last several tournaments.
Yeah, it was. Wow. Yeah, we did not see that come into play.
Oh, it's coming though.
Yeah,
it's coming in a lot of the tournaments that we got coming up, and we've got a lot of great Bass University content. We'll keep you guys all posted. Sign up for our newsletter, and you'll be apprised. And download the free Bass University app at the App Store, so you can watch on your phone with ease and enjoy and continue to learn with all of us, guys. We're going to see you next week. Right back here, another edition of Bass University Live. Have a great day, everybody.
Wait, one more thing, Pete.
What'd I forget? Oh my gosh, we're rolling out to it. Look at this. His line's broke. He's fishing it through. He's getting enough pressure. Look at that rod just out of position, but he's got enough pressure on to get the hook set.
Hand lining. Wow.
This, you know, you're going to win the tournament when it goes down like this. And not only does he catch it, but it's like a 5-5. Look at it. It's a giant. Never ever happens like that. But that's why that's when you know you're going to get the dub. Congratulations to Chris Lane. Great way to roll out, guys. Have a great day. We'll